Hey, welcome to Draw Tip Tuesday. My name is Koosje Koenen and I love drawing. And I love drawing outside, inside, anywhere really. And recently I moved to quite a different place. I moved to a smaller city, Amersfoort, and I moved to the edge of a city where I am very, very close to the forest. I promise I will keep drawing people and buildings, but today I'm drawing nature again. Last week I showed you a way to first put down color and then add texture and shapes with line and lots of mark making. And because today is a beautiful day, I went outside with my sketchbook and will try this same technique with different tools. It will be a struggle, I'm sure, because I am not used to drawing nature that much yet. But as a very, very smart student of mine once said, if you're not making ugly stuff, you're doing it wrong. And you just have to explore and try things to become better at them. I am not good at drawing nature yet. So as I'm learning, I'm sharing it with you. Okay, so I found this beautiful spot, which is not far from where I live. I'm so lucky. And so I want to draw it. I will start by grabbing my tools. My plan is to start with basic shapes in color, watercolor. Just like last week, I put the shapes down in color first and then I added detail on top. Today I want to add colored pencil on top of watercolor. So I mix a yellow ochre for that bit of sand in the background. It is quite a lot more yellow than in real life, but also the colors are a little bit brighter than on this picture. Anyway, you can interpret the picture or whatever you see in your own way, right? So you can emphasize on certain colors if you want to. I keep mixing colors to the colors that I've already mixed on my palette, and that way they start to feel a little bit like they are all in the same family. They are related to each other because they're mixed with each other. I'm trying to keep a painterly effect. I'm not trying to draw anything because I want those shapes down first. And I feel a little bit insecure about all of this because I don't know exactly what I'm doing. And I feel that maybe my watercolor wash is too light and I worry that it won't dry completely before I start with my colored pencils. But I try to stay in the moment and just fill up my page with colors that seem suitable. And now I grab my colored pencils. I grab a few that seem appropriate for this scene, mostly browns, beige, and I have greens for grabs right there at the left as well. And I start with a pinkish color that you don't really see, and then I remember how I used black colored pencil for a very organic line for branches of trees. So that encourages me, and I will try that a little bit with some black and brown. And then I notice that there's more green in the background, so I will just add that. And I try to be really playful with my paint strokes, and hopefully that gives it a lively effect. The paint hasn't completely dried, but I am impatient and I am just going to move along with my colored pencil, and I need contrast. I need darker bits, so I just go in with a black pencil, trying to describe that tree that is so prominent in the foreground. And then there's another dead tree, which has a beautiful texture on it, so I try to translate that. And so I am sort of painterly drawing, and at this point I am not sure that this drawing is going anywhere to something that I could possibly be happy with. But I'm thinking, you know what, maybe it's a good inspiration for my art studio. Maybe these colors and this texture might actually inspire me for a new abstract painting. And I'm alternating my colors. And I try to sort of assess in between where I need more darks or more contrast, and also how I can create the texture of the different sort of leaves in the background, in the foreground. At this point, I'm sort of having fun playing. I start to worry less and start to enjoy the process a lot more. Now that I've added these textural strokes and stripes and marks with colored pencil, I can see that I need to describe the tree a little bit more so that I create depth in the drawing and that I create difference between foreground and background. And I start to become a little bit more courageous by adding darker colors, and you can totally see that effect immediately. So now that I've done that, I dare to also add a much darker color to the bark of the tree. And I'm having fun adding spots and dots and marks. And once I've done that, I can see that maybe the background should actually be a lot darker, because it is really dark between those trees in the background. So I keep mixing darker paint and I keep looking at where the drawing needs more contrast. And because part of the paint is still wet, I remember that I have watercolor pencils with me. And watercolor pencils work great on wet watercolor. So I am trying to do that. And I hardly ever use these watercolor pencils. So I'm really trying to find my way. And I'm discovering what kind of colors I have and if they work on that damp watercolor paper. But it's, yeah, it is good. It's playful and it feels safe in a way, because I could water them down if needed. At this point, I sort of understand what the drawing needs. It needs more contrast. The trees need a drop shadow, and I totally have let go of the idea that this drawing should become something great, or that this video could even become a Draw Tip Tuesday video. But then I take out the white crayon, and that is making all the difference. It makes me a lot more confident because it gives a little bit of definition and texture. And then I feel confident enough to actually add a couple of people in there with their dog. They are walking by, and I think it is kind of important for this place because there's a lot of people who walk here in this beautiful area. And then I assess again for just a bit, and I can see that the tree in the foreground needs more texture. So I use that white crayon again, and that makes all the difference. So even though I panicked at quite a few points during this drawing process, I'm kind of happy with the result. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. I like what's going on this part of the drawing with the dark background and the people in there. It feels very lively. And then, yeah, the left page, I could do without it, but I could work on it a little bit more or just leave it as is. Because I want to also show you that I struggle too. And this is how we learn, isn't it? Yep, I struggled a lot. Somewhere at the halfway mark, maybe even earlier, I really wanted to stop the video and just give up altogether. I didn't. I think I had a few points during this drawing that I really felt like, no, I cannot share this on YouTube. This is terrible. This is a disaster. But I kept going because, well, I started and I'm here anyway. So I wanted to find out if I could sort of fix it or even make it interesting. But also, even more important, I was so enjoying sitting on this bench, looking at this beautiful surroundings and capturing it, playing with the tools that I brought. I brought quite a lot of stuff that I usually don't bring with me, all of it. So yeah, I really just wanted to enjoy that time that I made for me and my sketchbook. And in the end, just the last few marks, really, they made a lot of sense and they made things come together again. And they actually made that I don't hate this drawing. I hope this is useful for you too. I often have conversations with people. Just now, actually, a couple came by and they wanted to see my drawing. And one of them said, well, yeah, I do have all this stuff, but I never draw. I did, but I don't do it anymore. And then a lot of people also say, I cannot draw. But then I try to add, yet, because you can learn to draw. It is a technique. It is a skill that anybody can learn. You just need to have a little bit of patience and see the fun of it and be interested to do it. Anyway, you know this because you're watching this, and hopefully you are subscribed to this channel so you don't miss out on my weekly videos. And if you like my weekly videos, you can support me on Patreon. I would love that. Also, in April, I am teaching a workshop in Germany. It's a small group workshop and it is in nature. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and I promise I will teach things that I already can do, then please join me. I will put the link below this video. And of course, if you haven't bought my book yet, go get it. It can be really helpful, and I would love to give you a little nudge towards your creative courage and enjoyment. I'll see you next week. Bye.